there was always going to be a massive, and I mean massive, case for business for rejoining the EU. Not only just rejoining the EU, but rejoining the single market as well. And given the fact that we've now got this new Windsor framework, I suppose, or new Northern Ireland deal, or new Brexit deal, whatever you really want to call it, the Windsor framework, if you like, we'll continue just calling it for that. The fact is now, for businesses in Northern Ireland, are going to absolutely flourish because of this. Absolutely. This deal has given them stability and a degree of certainty which just does not exist now to most UK businesses. And that is the truth. UK businesses have been for years constantly worried about the EU the EU retained law bill. That is going to cause massive problems, and we've still got to see whether that just quietly gets dropped to the wayside, just like a lot of us are suspecting that the Northern Ireland Protocol bill is also going to be quietly dropped by the wayside. But if that bill goes through, that will cause huge problems. And of course, you've also got to examine how this Stormont break, as it's being described, is going to work. What happens should Stormont say, we're going to block that law? What then happens to that? I mean, you've now got a very interesting question where potentially elections in and around Northern Ireland, especially for the Assembly, are going to certainly feature the either acceptance or the pushback to certain EU laws and regulations. Politics in Northern Ireland is going to change dramatically, certainly because that will now enter into the lexicon. Well, Sinn Féin might support this particular regulation, and the DUP might not support this particular regulation. Let's have at it, in the political arena. That is now a very possibility. But I want to go today over some comments that have been made by businesses in Northern Ireland, because I will tell you now fully well there are businesses in the UK that are looking at some of these comments going, well, we want a piece of that action. And I tell you now, give it a year or so, and you will see UK businesses do one of two things. Either A, they will now move a portion of their operations over into Northern Ireland, or they will start saying to the government, and very loudly, because this is what they did originally to join the Single Market Customs Union, and they will start saying very loudly, and very loudly indeed, with one voice, saying, we want to be part of the single market. Look at businesses in Northern Ireland. Look how much they are prospering from being part of the single market. We want a piece of that action. We want to be in that as well. And that is a voice which has already been growing, but now I think will grow even more as we start to see more of these comments emerge. Not only that, but we start to see business data as well, because it won't be for long before you take, well, this is a company that's, I don't know, based in Hull, and this is a company that does the exact same thing, but it's based in the in Northern Ireland. Look at the differences between these two, because one has access, unrestricted access, pretty much to the EU single market, but the one in Hull doesn't. And it won't be before long before you start to see cries of this constantly, because British businesses will start to shout about this. And I really hope that they do, to be honest. So We're going to go into some of these comments, but before we do that, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Pardon me. The like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, there is the bell button. So again, ring the bell. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page, the One Off Nation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. There is the Pony Club down below as well. And of course, the YouTube thank you button. So into some of these comments we go. So this is where it starts to get fun. So this comes from a business owner called Michael McGath, and he's the owner of Crushing Screening Parts. And he says, common sense has now prevailed. Thank God the grown-ups are back in 10 Downing Street. It's been a long-running saga of dispute and dissent and arguments and fallouts that has helped no one. And just along those lines, you can see how this has really annoyed business people in Northern Ireland because, well, they've had this generally, as even Rishi Sunak has said, this fantastic opportunity of getting the best of both worlds. And they have benefited from this. And one of the things that people have pointed out is that he has in his email signature saying Northern Ireland Protocol sales to the UK and EU remain tariff-free. He said, continues to say, I don't think much has changed. As long as there is no change in access to the single market, the rest is just noise. And as you can see, businesses really don't care about anything else. They just want access to the single market. And I think that is going to become a big, big rallying cry from UK business. The next one we have is from a guy who's the managing director of a company called Brook Vent, a guy called Declan Gomley. And he exports essentially ventilation parts and ventilation products. And it's based in Belfast. This is his view on the whole thing. He said, for some people, it's anathema. But the truth is, we do have the best of both worlds. We're continuing our relationship with the UK and with the EU market. We have grown significantly over the last decade by the ability to access the EU and to be able to expand into Poland and other countries. It's worked well for us. And I want to remind people of what you just said. We've had the ability to expand into Poland, not for the fact of having any shops or any actual physical infrastructure, but they can now sell into Poland just as easily as it is to, maybe send that ventilation stuff over to Derry. That's how easy the access they are talking about is. So you are now going to see UK businesses go, we want a slice of that action. And as I said, two things will happen. Either A, businesses will start to move sections or at least parts of their business potentially into Northern Ireland, or they will start, and this will probably also happen as well. So it may not be an either or case, but I probably suspect both will happen. I think it will just be a case to see which one happens sort of first, or shall we say, more people notice first. You will see businesses start to shout, just as they did originally to join the single market. We want a piece of that action. We want to be inside the single market. It will not take long because that voice has already been increasing for like the past 2 to 3 years. Businesses have been out and loud and saying very loudly, this deal is not good. It's damaged our sales to Europe. In some cases, we've stopped trading, as we've seen, stopped trading with businesses in Europe altogether. European businesses are not buying from UK businesses anymore because of the Brexit deal, because of the complications, which again affects deals. We've seen businesses lose 20, 30, 40% of their business because of this deal. We've seen just yesterday when the former chair of the ERG saying, UK businesses are now getting to trade with the rest of the world. They're increasing their trade with the rest of the world. Well, again, no, it's not that easy. It's not that simple. And you look at the data, that hasn't been the case. So it's only a matter of time now. Like I say, businesses were the driving force that got the UK to join the European single market, or at least the beginnings of the European of the ECC, as it was called originally back then, the beginnings of course the EU, and ultimately I think it will be businesses that will drive back the UK back into not only just the single market, but even eventually back into the EU as well. Because once you're back in the single market, well, why not be full EU members? So anyway, yeah. History, bizarre, bizarre way of repeating itself. But anyway, there you go. So as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page and an annotation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.